the other point that is being made here is that workers need to connect their emancipatory struggle from the capitalists with the struggles of all oppressed classes, be this other workers in other factories or in other countries, or with oppressed minority groups. The revolutionary must always seek to progress the workers beyond trade union struggles and into revolutionary struggles. To do this, the revolutionaries must first organize themselves. This organization, the Vanguard Party. The Vanguard Party is itself made up of the most theoretically advanced members of the proletariat class. This is students who study Marx and can go out and teach people Marx. This is workers who can organize their factory. And when you find a worker that's really good at organizing his factory, what you don't want to leave him as is a worker in a factory. There's no sense in leaving him to spend his day working 11 hours in a factory when he could be out organizing other factories. So the intention of the Vanguard Party is to actually set these people up. An example some people might be familiar with, if you've read Malcolm X or kind of seen the movie, the Nation of Islam kind of did this, right? Malcolm X is supported by the Nation of Islam. What he does is he goes out and raises awareness about Islam and race matters. But to be actually precise, what should have happened is he should have been organizing the classes of proletariat, not on the basis of interest, of race, class, not race. So the social democratic politics, as opposed to the economists, the social democratic ideal should not be the trade union secretary, but the tribune of the people who is able to react to every manifestation of tyranny and oppression, no matter where it appears, no matter what stratum of class or people it affects, who is able to generalize all the manifestations and produce a single picture of police violence and capitalist exploitation, who is able to take advantage of every event, however small, in order to be set forth before all his socialist convictions and democratic demands, in order to clarify for all and everyone the world historic significance of the struggle for the emancipation of the proletariat. Now, a lot of times people will say, oh, well, we got to be kind of covert about this. We don't want to just out and out say we're communist or anarchist. And then say, no, we have actual beliefs. We need to stand by our beliefs, and we need to fix the masses. So we're not simply trying to deceive them. And Lenin actually, in contrast to social democratic politics, as opposed to the terrorist position, he writes, why do the Russian workers still manifest little revolutionary activity in response to the brutal treatment of the people by the police, the persecution of religious sects, the flogging of peasants, the outrageous censorship, the torture of soldiers, the persecution of the most innocent cultural undertakings, etc.? Is it because the economic struggle does not stimulate them to this? Because such activity does not promise palpable results? Because it is little that is positive? To adopt such an opinion, we repeat that it is merely to direct the charge where it does not belong, to blame the working masses for one's own Philistinism, or as he puts it, Bernsteinism, which again is an economist position. We blame ourselves, our lagging behind the mass movement, for still unable to organize sufficiently wide striking and rapid exposures of shameful outrages. And so what the Vanguard Party does is it sets up workers and students, right, the people who pretty much have a good idea of what's going on, right, past just, oh, working conditions are terrible, but actually have a sort of structural analysis of capital to say, look, you're part of a class of people who don't own anything, you have to sell your labor, and what the boss does is they exploit your labor. And you can see this as being, I mean, as he puts it, when he's talking, actually I'll just read, he's talking on agitation and what the goal of agitation should be, and as well as propaganda. Hitherto we've thought, with Plekhanov being one of the original Russians who brought Marxism to Russia, translated it, but he's basically discussing what Plekhanov's view was. With Plekhanov, and with all the leaders of the international working class movement, that the propagandists dealing with, say, the question of unemployment must explain the capitalistic nature of crises, the cause of their inevitability in modern society, the necessity of the transformation of society into a socialist society, etc. In a word, he must represent many ideas, so many indeed, that they will be understood as an integral whole and must only by a comparatively few persons. The agitator, however, speaking on the same subject, will take as an illustration a fact that is most glaring and most widely known to his audience, say the death of unemployed families from starvation, the growing impoverishment, etc. And utilizing this fact, known to all, will direct his efforts to presenting a single idea to the masses. For example, the senselessness of the contradiction between the increase of wealth and the increase of poverty. He will strive to rouse discontent and indignation among the masses for crying out for injustice, leaving a more complete explanation of the contradiction to the propagandist. Consequently, the propagandist operates chiefly by means of the printed word, the agitator by means of the spoken word. The propagandist requires qualities different from those of the agitator. And another quote, the propagandist does the same thing in periodical press that the agitator does in public speeches. And so you have a distinction between people who are actively writing for papers, who are doing theory work, and trying to express broader ideas, and the people who are just agitating among the masses and saying, look, these work conditions are terrible, but it's a result of the boss because he hoards all the money. And the reason people are starving to death is so we can have a boss who hoards all the money. So the goal of the revolutionaries is to simply organize the Vanguard Party of the most theoretically advanced members. Those members are to become professional revolutionaries whose full-time work is revolutionary work. This means to organize the proletariat, to begin agitating, to begin writing propaganda. Their work is to make a revolution happen. When a worker is unable to organize his workplace, he should not, or when a worker is able to organize his workplace, he should not be left in his workplace to toil for 8 hours a day. He needs material support of the Vanguard Party to make it so that he can organize and agitate for 8 hours a day. The Vanguard is not an elitist club of enlightened intellectuals who are merely there to give orders because they have the truth and the workers are not able to comprehend such complexities such as Marxism. On the contrary, the Vanguard Party and the revolutionaries that make up its membership must have faith in the people, that the people are smart enough to get it, and that they're more interested in justice rather than simply their own self-interest or just getting that extra dollar. And that's the extent of my notes, but I guess I can fix any loose ends on a discussion. So, thank you.